Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Your bad driving caused you not to get hired. Throwaway account because this just happened and I'm not sure if there'd be consequences for it. Background: I work for a construction company that has many divisions, but I work in the new construction section. I've been working at this company for about 5 years, but actually worked along with my dad, who had 30-plus years at the same company. Because of his long tenure in not only the field, but with the company, I got a lot of inside perks. I created a lot of very beneficial professional relationships through him. My dad recently became very sick, suffering from liver and throat cancer, stage 4, and had to stop coming to work. My dad and I were the only office guys in the department, so once he stepped away, I became #1 guy in the department, making all the decisions. This detail will come into play later. The crime: I recently got engaged to the woman of my dreams. We had planned on getting married in 2018, but with my dad being sick and not sure how long he'll have, we moved it up to the fall of 2017. So we're getting all the wedding planning stuff done ASAP. This last weekend, February 11th and 12th, we conquered a lot of the list. The incident happened on the 11th. We just finished our registry and were about to meet our DJ at a local coffee shop, but had some time for lunch. We grabbed a quick meal before heading to our meeting. As I'm pulling up to the stop sign to leave the parking lot into the street, a car pulls in tight and cuts me off a good 10 feet before the stop sign off of the street. Now, usually I have horrible road rage. Fingers, cuss words. I've even thrown stuff from my car in fits of rage. My fiance hates my road rage, so I've tried to behave myself as much as possible when she's in the car. So when this guy cut me off, all I did was throw my hands in the air in a what the hell gesture. He was driving a Chrysler 300 with Illinois plates. Can't stand Illinois drivers. As I threw my hands, he slammed on his brakes, looked at me, rolled down his window, and asked, "What's your deal?" I responded with, "You cut me off. Don't know how to take turns very well?" He responded with, "You want to get out of the car?" Yes. At this point, that's all my head was screaming. But when he asked this, my fiance grabbed my arm and said, "Please don't." So I looked at him and said, "Nope, I don't want to get out of the car. I want you to learn how to drive." His response was to call me the P word for listening to my B and drive off. He hit all my buttons in the matter of a minute. Bad driving, not apologizing, and disrespecting one of my loved ones. If she wasn't there in the car, there would have been a fight. I thought that was the end of me seeing that A-hat, and I was not happy. But karma was on my side. The revenge. Since my dad left work, my responsibilities have doubled, and that caused me to stay later and even come in on weekends. My boss, seeing my struggle, asked if he could hire someone to help take some of the load off my desk. Since my dad leaving, I've pushed to have one of the field guys take over because they already know a lot about what's going on and wouldn't have to teach much to them. My boss didn't like that idea because he didn't want to lose one of our great field guys. He put some ads out to hire someone, but promised me I'd be a part of the hiring process and would even have the last word when hiring, since I'd be working with them a lot. Like Santa bringing you everything you asked for on Christmas morning, that A-hat that cut me off walked through the front door asking about the opening. He hadn't seen me yet, and being in the company car when I drive to and from work, he didn't see my car either. My boss took him to the conference room and asked the basic questions while I was finishing a bid we wanted to send out. Then came my chance. My boss called me on the speakerphone asking me to come back to finish the interview. I usually hate Mondays, but this felt like the greatest Monday I could ever have. Right when I walked in the room, the A-hat's eyes lit up, got real big. What made it even better is, as I was walking in, I hear my boss tell him that I'm coming to finish the interview and would be his boss, and we wanted to make sure it was a good fit. The interview went poorly, like really, really poorly. I barely roasted him with any difficult questions because he was so nervous/freaked out that his answers to my questions were horrible. My boss then took me out to the hallway after I was done and asked what I thought. I told him the whole situation and said I could never work with him. That was all my boss needed, and said we'll keep looking for a new replacement. Best part is, I got to tell the guy the news. I basically told him to get the F out and laughed in his face about trying to get a job here. Funniest part actually is, he told me he already had other job offers at some of my competitors and was just shopping around. Idiot actually named the competitors who he claimed to have offered him jobs, What he didn't know is that our company is actually really close and friendly with our competitors. I called up those companies and told them what happened, and they not only told me they didn't offer him jobs, but now they definitely won't. And our next story. My wife got an eBay scammer arrested. This is an old story, but it's something I had pretty much forgotten about. This was in Christmas 2001, back when we still trusted the internets and eBay was a sure bet for getting a deal. We were looking for a nice gift for our 6-year-old and having limited funds thought that maybe a slightly used PS2 console would be awesome. We found a seller with a long history and a good rating that had a console and a dozen games with it for $300. Especially considering the games, this was a fantastic deal, maybe half off retail. The seller was mostly into selling sports cards, but he had a variety of other auctions, including lots of video games. It'd be our whole Christmas budget for him, but it was too good a deal to pass up. So we won the auction and sent payment. The seller replied with a variety of emails saying congratulations and he'll send it at the end of the week as he was out of town. Week goes by, we hear nothing. We emailed and he gave some excuse and asked for another day. We emailed again and he said he mailed it but didn't have the tracking number, yada yada yada. As it became clear that we had been scammed, we were pretty distraught, as that was our Christmas savings for our boy. My wife wouldn't let it go and has always been quite good at internet sleuthing, so she started looking through his eBay history and noted that while he'd been a solid A++++ seller for years, many poor reviews started flooding in. Many people eventually got the product or a refund, but it was taking longer and longer to resolve. She looked through Yahoo auctions, that was a thing then, and found a seller with a different name with the same items up for sale. Using that username, she was able to find an online dating profile that used the exact same username, had his picture, email address, and actual address. This had gone on for a few weeks, and the emails continued back and forth, with promises of eventual refunds and lies about lost shipments and all. So she looked up the local police department in the city, and they actually had an online fraud department. She told him the story and said they'd received numerous complaints about a scammer, that others had tracked items to the city, but we were the first with an address. He drove to his house, and he was effing there with a garage full of sports cards and stuff. He basically got behind and started kind of an eBay Ponzi scheme where he'd get money from new auctions to pay back old auctions while taking cash out and getting further and further behind. It was crazy stupid. I think he owed about $10,000 to dozens of people. He ended up getting arrested and was forced to have wages garnished to pay back people and got community service. We got our money back, but it took a few months. And our last story. I'm the head of IT for a large line of dealerships in West Tennessee. These dealerships deal with the government a lot, mainly selling cars and stuff to police and emergency services. Because of this, our cybersecurity staff has to be tight as a barrel and locked down, which I usually do very well. I also have a coworker who we'll call C. She's in her early 60s, has smoked most of her life, and has a thick trailer park accent. Her skin looks like yellow paper and she drinks nonstop. Her job is to run the cashier desk because her husband is the GM of the main dealership. It was last Tuesday that I noticed an error from C's computer. Now, her computer handles all the credit cards, and if it gets a virus, it gets first priority. So I run a scan on the computer, and lo and behold, she has a virus that's funneling data out like a hole in a bucket. I go to talk to her and let her know I need to fix her computer. Here's the conversation. C. Grumble. Me. Hey, C, I'm going to need to fix your computer. You've got a virus. C. What? No, you don't have the authorization to touch my computer. Me. I'm the head of IT. I can do what I need when needed. C. No, you effing can't. I'll talk to my husband. At this point, she yelled for a bit about my age, 23 years old, and about how millennials lie. Then she gets up to get the GM/her husband. GM, don't touch your computer. We'll have a professional look at it. Meaning his son. Not a professional. Me. That is a really bad idea. We already have to let people know what's happened because it's a breach in our security. If we get audited, it could be even worse. Here's where I got mad. GM, listen, you're a kid and this is the adult world. Just do what I say. Silent rage is now building. And I nod. GM, besides, we barely use you. We don't even need an IT department. We've operated for 30 years without one. Me, can you write down specifically what you want me to do so that I know exactly what my duties are from now on? At this point, the GM and C both did so and signed the lists. C. I hope you learned something from this. Me. I sure did. After this, I went home and decided that maybe we needed an audit. So I called some of the agencies we work with and hinted they might want to audit us. Fun starts here. I walk in the next day and find not one, not two, but 4 of the agencies sent someone to audit our records and systems. We failed spectacularly. And the reason was because we had a virus on the main payment computer. I get called into the CEO/owner's office. Owner, what the hell happened to our system? Me, well, it's mainly because of C. C then interrupts. It's because he looks at porn. Me, no, it's because C and GM told me not to fix their computers and changed my duties. C, that's a flat-out lie. The GM got called in at this point, and the CEO asked him if that was true. He says, no, it's not. We never... Me, interrupting. Here are the papers they both signed telling me specifically what to do, and here's the ticket for her computer that she had me close. I slid the paper across the desk to the CEO. Thank you, he says. Go on. Go do your work and fix the system. The 2 of you stay behind. Later that day, I walked by her cubicle, and she was packing her stuff into a box. The GM was also packing his stuff. They were both apparently blackballed from working in the area's dealerships. We also lost 2 multi-million-dollar contracts. The best part was that when I walked out to my car, she was sitting on the front steps crying, and she saw me and said, "Can you give me a few bucks since you effed me over?" So I pulled $1 out from my wallet and in big, bold letters wrote, "I hope you learned something from this," and I handed her the $1 and went on my merry way. And a huge thank you to all of you for watching this video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.